All right. Well, welcome to the roundtable on rechartering. We'll be covering overall rechartering for the council this evening. And as I've mentioned before, my name is Mike Hager. I am the Crossroads District Commissioner, and we'll be going through rechartering again for everybody, talking about general timetables, a little bit of the new basic discussion for the internet tool for internet rechartering, specifics for the WD Boyce recharter packets, and we'll spend a little bit more time on that, as well as payment options and some of the recharter ready information, really just recapturing that to make sure it's in one neat, tidy location. So as you might recall from some of our communications, recharters for this year are due December 11th. So December 11th of 2021. Please process as soon as you are able. So if you are able to get that cleared and done before Thanksgiving, which is always my recommendation, please do so. If everybody turns them in on the 11th, there will be delays in processing as they all have to go through the registrar to make sure that they are correct and processed properly. For Internet Recharter 2.0, make sure you review the training material, which is available at scouting.org. Also will be available on our website. For any frequently asked questions, the user guide and helpful videos and walkthroughs of the new tool. We are also asking as a council really only 3 forms that are necessary to be submitted outside of the Internet Recharter 2.0. Specifically, these are going to be the annual recharter agreement with your chartering organization, the account authorization form, which has been changed for 2021, and of course, Journey to Excellence or JTE. I want to specifically note, and you'll hear me mention it several times, these specific forms cannot use electronic signatures. So even if you can apply them with PDF or other tools, they will not be accepted at the council level. So please make sure that you are using hard copy signatures and then scanning those. You can, of course, scan them amongst each other to get the multiple signatures if necessary. Otherwise, you can also just turn in hard copy forms. Also want to mention that councils or commissioner signatures, such as, let's say, Barb's signature on the annual recharter, does not have to be completed before you turn your material in. That will be applied after submittal from the units. This year, we want to focus a little bit on how to get a hold of people for help. So I know there are many out there who've been doing this for some time whose first call for a question might be to our registrar. We're going to ask this year that you don't do that. We need to start using the volunteers for this type of question. And I'd like you to start with the unit commissioner, followed by district commissioner, in this case, myself, the assistant council commissioner for recharter, which in this case happens to be me as well. At which point, if I can't answer or I need to pass you off, I will get you to the office to make sure your question is resolved. But we just do want to utilize our volunteers first. As I've mentioned before, we will be using the registrar to process all of these. And if we have 168 units contacting her at once for questions, that will be a delay in the process. So please make sure you start off with your UC, your unit commissioner, or get to myself any questions. If you don't know your unit commissioner or you don't have one assigned at this time, which is the case for many of you, again, please start with me. I'll be happy to respond to any of your questions. I do want to mention a little bit about the Internet Recharter 2.0 basics, and really all I'm going to talk about today are ways to get there. So for starters, really, there are 3 ways to get there, and that is the direct method, which is the advancement to scouting.org, which is a direct link to that. You can get through there through Scoutbook, and you'll see a quick image there. If you pull up your, before you go to your dashbook, for those of you familiar with Scoutbook, there is the internet advancement icon there. And we will also have a link at the WD Boyce website for rechartering, which you'll see here. I do want to mention when you get to the WD Boyce websites, to get to the Recharter section, it is under the resource pull down menu. And that pull down menu is going to give you obviously multiple things. One of those is rechartering, and that will splash up a little bit of what that screen shows to the right, at which point you are able to either click the icon or the hyperlink below, and that'll take you to internet rechartering. All right, so a couple of things that have changed from and I'll call that it's a major simplification. And that's the unique access code. So for those of you who have done a recharter before, you'll notice that you won't have to do that anymore. And that's a 8 or 10 digit code that was assigned each year that allow you to get into the old internet recharter system. Now, all unit key 3s will automatically have access through internet rechartering. So it's a straightforward process. And the unit's key 3 can delegate another leader, and it has to be a leader in the system. That delegate can perform the recharter activities for their units. So that typically means that the chartered org rep, committee chair, and scoutmaster, cubmaster, or advisor can do this. But again, anybody else who is a unit leader in the system in myscouting.org can be delegated. I believe there's a limit of 3 delegates per unit, but usually that's not a problem. If you do have questions about that, we'll talk about that towards the end during our Recharter Ready rebrief, but it is also going to be available in the Recharter packet on how to make a delegate in the system. So we talked a little bit about user's guide and the frequently asked questions. And we will provide hard copies of what we had as a snapshot when we developed the packet, which was not too long ago, but they will probably be evolving. So if you want to take a look at the master information, and this again will be available on the website and in the Recharter packet, the information for updated frequently asked questions, as well as user's guide, as well as the videos for the walkthroughs will be available online. And I encourage you, if you want to go look at those, go look there. They will be fresher, and they will have probably better search capabilities than a standard PDF. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Recharter packet. And I know some of you recall receiving, the half-inch thick hunk of paper that talked a little bit about your unique units roster, and then provided a whole lot of paperwork that's, didn't seem to have a lot of useful information in it unless you had questions. We are eliminating that this year from a standpoint regarding, sorry, I'm reading some chat here too, but some of the standpoint regarding a hard copy packet. Everything will be available electronic this year. In that electronic package, you'll also have some fillable PDFs, and we'll talk about some other items that are in there. But really, this does not include anything unique for your unit, since it's a generic document for the entire organization. So if you want to print out of your roster or other types of material, you can get that through the Internet Recharter 2.0. You can get that through Scoutbook. The roster page of my.scouting.org, again, available to all the key 3. If for all else fails and you really feel like you need a hard copy printout of your roster, please get a hold of myself and we'll find a way to get you one. I know that our registrar is willing to do so. Just wanted to make sure that we see that. So if you've got any information requests like that, again, please come through me first. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, again, those details on the subjects for things required outside of Internet Recharter 2.0. The annual charter agreement, so we did include a fillable PDF copy. No electronic signatures are allowed on the document, and that's one of the questions that just came up on the chat. Why is that? Well, that's how National has established it. I know that you can buy a house with an electronic signature these days, but unfortunately, you can't sign this particular item. The lawyers have spoken. Charter organization signatures on this form are the executive officer, which is the institution head on your recharter. And as mentioned, require actual signatures from the institution head or executive officer, the chartered org rep, and the committee chair. It forms slightly confusing because it doesn't actually say signature on there, but we are expecting signatures on that document. The local BSA council signature will be applied afterwards. As we mentioned, doesn't necessarily need to be there when you turn the documentation in. Barb, we'll get to that one later. Thanks, Barb. All right, we talked about unit account authorization form. That is, again, a fillable PDF. The form content has changed this year, so if you are so inclined, please resubmit one of those. This signature for that can be the committee chairperson. We have allotted that, and that's one of the changes made. The remainder of the key three can also provide the signature for the account authorization form, so that's a big change, hopefully helpful to you folks. And then Journey to Excellence, we include obviously in the package a JTE form for all of the types of units. Select your unit type, don't print everything off, and make sure you review that. I suggest you do that as a committee. Go ahead and take a look at your activities through the year. I know that when I sit down and do a JTE for units I'm involved in, every once in a while, I forget some of the things we've done too. And that's why many heads can help prevail and identify things to help you improve your score as you go through that system. As I mentioned, the last signature on JTE is going to be a commissioner. If you know your unit commissioner and are working with them well as part of the process for rechartering, go ahead and get their signature. If not, you can turn that in and we'll get it to the UC, or more than likely, it'll go straight to me as district commissioner and I'll take a review and get it signed off. All right, I'm going to talk through some of the items that are available for your support. These have been uploaded already, so this information is available on the WD Boyce website. If you have the bandwidth and are interested in looking at that now, you can go ahead and pull that up on the website. Just go to the Rechartering webpage. Underneath the form icon, there should be a download a copy of the packet or some verbiage of that nature. And please take a look at that if you're interested. I'm not going to go over everything that's in there because some of it really is just backup information. So if you are interested in that, it is available for your use. Almost everything that's on that form within reason is available on the internet. Scouting.org is a great place for that. But if you have questions, I always do a Google search and I'm able to find most of it. There are some unique items for the council, but again, most of it's available on the website, on the internet, and also available here. So we've got contact list, we've got the fee scale. That just makes sure if you have individuals joining throughout the year, you can have a quick way to tabulate and calculate. I find this very useful. It's the minimum adult leader position numbers. So it will be auto-calculated as you go through and try to validate through Internet Recharter 2.0, but it's always kind of useful to understand the minimum adult numbers you need and what positions you have to make sure you have checked off in that rechartering process. Position code list, very handy when you are filling out new forms or even online, but making sure you understand what the 2-digit code is for an adult position. And then the position training required list. Again, this is not something necessarily needed directly for recharter, but may help you in understanding what you need to do. If you want to do a quick update for your JTE score, training is a quick way to do that. So you can find out who needs training and what that specific training entails. It's also a good way to look at what I call the SCO numbers. And I don't know exactly what that stands for, but all the course offerings have the numbers associated. And this is a good quick reference to understand what the titles are and what you need per position. We've also included in the application or in the packet applications for both adult and youth in a fillable PDF format. So All electronic signatures outside of the BSA tool, like Internet Recharter or BS Scout applications, again, are not acceptable. So do not apply e-signatures to the PDF applications. Those have been stripped from the process. So you'd only have to do, to add that on if you happen to have PDF proper, but nonetheless, please don't apply those. We do have, again, copies in the office. So if you do need hard copies, there are many ways to get a hold of those, and we can take care of you there. On the adults, again, please don't forget the CBC and YPT. A little bit of acronym spaghetti right there, but the criminal background check, and that's the signature for the disclosures, and the youth protection training. Make sure everyone's got the youth protection training completed. And if you turn in your application as part of Internet Recharter 2.0 in hard copy, that means it's going to be scanned in there. Make sure you include the YPT certificate. We've been doing that for some time now. Just wanted to remind you, though. All right. So again, from a submittal standpoint, we are looking for 3 documents that are not going to be put into Internet Recharter 2.0. Everything that goes into Internet Recharter 2.0 can be scanned, and they need to be ideally zipped. So the user's guide does provide information on how to do that zipping, but if you have questions, you can get a hold of me and we can help you through that process. But a zip will take, say, 3 files, like an application, your CBC, and YPT, and put it into one file that can then be uploaded into Internet Recharter 2.0. From a standpoint of those 3 documents that we talked about, we have generated a secure online portal, and that is available here. It's available on the website through the packet information or these slides, and all of these slides will be posted on the Recharter website for your viewing pleasure as well. But nonetheless, this secure portal is available there. This is a one-way portal, so you can submit information, but nobody else can look at it except for 2 individuals, basically myself and the registrar. So it is the preferred method. It's the fastest way to deliver that information to the registrar. So even if there are digits or signatures, excuse me, that are still outstanding, it is still the fastest way to get there to make sure that we get it to those people and get it processed quickly. I am asking that you put the 4-digit unit number in the title of those documents as you submit them. That just helps us process them more efficiently. Okie dokie, payment options. So part of Internet Recharter 2.0, there are now electronic payment options in that system. So when you go through and you validate the information, it will take you to a payment screen. It will ask you to select one of 3 methods to pay, either a credit card online, an e-check, which is an online payment as well, or pay at council. So if you plan on paying by check, I really do encourage you to use the e-check process in Internet Recharter 2.0. It does have a $1 fee. And I know, we need to be thrifty, but it does ensure that, nothing is misplaced between office transfers or anything else. No receipts are needed, and the process is there. It's just quick and easy. If you select pay at council, you can drop off a check. You can call the office and use a specific account, or you can even call one of the service centers and use a debit card over the phone. So if you have one of those tied to your checking account for the unit, by all means, go ahead and do so. I do want to mention, though, if you do a credit card online, which does have a fairly steep, I think, 3% fee, or e-check, which is only a $1 fee, if everything else is clean on your Recharter, and what I mean by clean is there's no YPT or other information embedded in it, everything is processed cleanly, it will what they call auto post, and it actually won't even go through the registrar. So that is something that I'm encouraging right now, because I want to make sure that we process through everything quickly. And again, one less person having to touch it before it goes to national would be great. All right. The next few slides, hopefully everybody has seen from the Recharter ready information. I've included this in the packet really just for capturing the comprehensive information to make sure that it's available online as well. But if you do have questions associated with these, by all means, reach out to me and I can help guide you through some of these, as they may be somewhat questionable because of embedded information or otherwise. All right, and with that, that really concludes the information associated with the presentation. I will open it up for questions here momentarily, and what I'm going to do is hit that button.